Lamine Yamal, Endrick. Who is the next face of football? Today we're going to find out, as we'll be following their careers for the next 10 years to not only see who will live up to the hype, but who's actually better. And we'll determine that at the end of the video, where we'll hopefully see them go from talented rookies to superstars, with the ultimate goal being winning at least one Ballon d'Or in these 10 years. So with all that being said, let's officially move on to the rookie season, where the first roadblock they'll have to overcome is earning playing time. Neither of them are starters at the moment, and they'll have to earn it. But despite the tough competition and limited game time, one of them would be walking away as the rookie of the season. That person being Lamine Yamal, who was slightly more impressive, scoring 6 goals and 2 assists and playing a small part in Barcelona's title-winning campaign. Barcelona had a much better season than Real Madrid, but Endrick is still walking away with the Copa del Rey. But at the end of the day, none of this really matters, because if they want to win the Ballon d'Or, they'll need playing time. So with their rookie season out of the way and an intense offseason, the two will be changing scenery for 1 year. Lamine will be reuniting with his international teammate Nico Williams at Athletic Bilbao, and Endrick will be headed to Girona. This move would prove to be what they needed to develop, as both are showing great improvement with the extra playing time. Lamine is a real threat cutting in from the right, and he's not only scoring, but setting up his teammates as well. And as for Endrick, what he lacks in height, he doesn't lack in power, showing that he can strike the ball like very few can, but what's more impressive is his ability to play in different roles. He doesn't know it just yet, but that versatility will end up being his most important trait, and I'll explain why later. But for now, we're going into year 3, and after a season where both were starters, they're now back to their respective clubs and up to an 84 overall, but still far away from a starting position, which is unfortunate because both have shown great progress, and while their goal is to eventually be good enough to win a Ballon d'Or, right now they need to be good enough to take someone's starting position, and Lamine is the closest to making that happen. He's putting up similar numbers to Rafinha, all while coming off the bench, and while he's making a strong case for a starting role, the road is a lot more challenging for Endrick. He's still putting up numbers coming off the bench, but he's tasked with taking minutes away from Mbappe, Vinny, or Rodrigo, and right now, that seems unlikely. And year 4 would be much of the same for him. He could easily be a starter in a different team, but his dream has always been to play for Real Madrid, so he's not planning on leaving anytime soon. So while we wait for his time to come, let's focus on Lamine, who's now a nailed-on starter and forming a strong partnership with Barcelona's newest star striker, that being Erling Haaland. And as a result, Lamine is developing his skills as a playmaker, racking up the assists by feeding the robot, and while these goals are translating to wins, they're not translating into titles, as they're falling 1 point shy of Real Madrid. And while this is a disappointing way to lose the title, they still have one more trophy to play for, that being the Champions League final against the title holders themselves. The two teams have matched evenly throughout the year, and this game would be no different. And while much of the focus is on the attackers, the goalkeepers are stealing the show, with both Courtois and Ter Stegen making incredible saves to keep this game leveled. And while it seems like we had a game winner on one end, unfortunately it would get overturned, and to make matters even worse, I can't believe that just happened. That is one of the worst ways to lose a game. So with that heartbreaking loss, Barcelona's season ends trophyless, despite having multiple chances to win this game. And what we're seeing now is the second roadblock Lamine will have to face, that being Real Madrid's dominance, because in the following season, they would win not 1, not 2, but all 3 trophies to complete the treble. And remember when I spoke about Endrick's versatility? Well, this would be his first full year as a starter, and he's carrying that momentum into year 6 with an 18-goal season, which would see Real Madrid's domestic dominance continue and 1 game away from another trophy. But before we get to that, let's briefly shift our focus to Lamine. He's improved his goal scoring to 35 goals across all competitions, helped Barcelona lift the Copa del Rey, and after defeating Newcastle in the round of 16, Leipzig in the quarterfinals, and Milan in the semifinals, he now has his eyes on the Champions League trophy. Real Madrid has had the advantage in this matchup for the last 2 years, and with history on their side, it's hard to go against them. We'll need to pay attention to Lamine. With the score tied at 2 and 15 minutes left to play, can he use what's at stake as motivation to prevent Real Madrid from winning their 3rd consecutive Champions League? Barca into Olmo. Haaland, Lamine, can't shoot. Gives Barca the lead. Real Madrid have been on a good run these last 2 years, but it's coming to an end, as Lamine's goal will stand as the game winner, and this result would start a new debate between our two stars. With 2 goals in this final and another quiet performance from Endrick in a big game, the media is already picking sides on who they think is better. And while Endrick has made good progress and seen success in the last 2 years, people are now questioning whether he's riding the coattails of Vini and Mbappe. So not only will he have to prove the media wrong, but he'll have to do it off the back of another disappointing year, as not only are Real Madrid being sent home in the round of 16, but are 12 points behind in the league table. So with their season looking trophyless, we need to shift our focus exclusively to Lamine. His scoring numbers are now up to 37 goals, and he's putting up elite performance after elite performance in the Champions League to reach the finals. And to keep things short, while Leverkusen have played incredibly well to get here and had their moments in this game, they're going home empty-handed as Barca is lifting the trophy once again thanks to a game winner from Lamine. He's making it apparently clear that his name belongs next to the current stars of the game, and he's being rewarded for his elite performances by not only being voted the player of the season, but the winner of the Ballon d'Or ahead of Mbappe and Haaland. Lamine is very good. Both Endrick and Lamine are going into year 8 with 2 very different situations. Lamine has now made it clear that he's next in line when the current aging stars of the game retire, while Endrick, at the age of 25, is still in the shadow of Mbappe and Vinicius, who are now 33 and 31 respectively. Which raises an important question: is Endrick just another wonder kid that failed to live to the hype? It's still too early to say it certainly, but with little time remaining and a lot to prove, the odds are stacked against him. Realistically, in order for him to win the Ballon d'Or, he'll first need to outperform Mbappe and Vini, which hasn't yet happened. But after a productive offseason, he's finally reaping the rewards of his training. Who would have thought that if you shoot more, you'll most likely score more? And while there's excitement for Real Madrid reclaiming La Liga, the road to the Champions League is a difficult one, as Lamine stands in his path. We have a much more important match between the two coming up, so while Barcelona would end up progressing to the semi-finals, they're running into a young PSV team who, despite being inexperienced, would end up shocking the world by winning in penalties. Dude, I don't even know how they managed to pull this off. With both their seasons now officially over, we're about to enter into the final stretch of their 10-year career. Lamine is bouncing back by winning La Liga, but both he and Endrick would be sent home early in the Champions League. And as I've mentioned before, no Champions League means no Ballon d'Or. But while these 2 years have been underwhelming to their standards, it sets us up perfectly for their 10th and final year. The two have come a long way since their rookie season, and while we saw Lamine develop quicker and win a Ballon d'Or, Endrick has put in a lot of work in the last 2 seasons, and now has the chance to level this competition and force an extra year to settle the tiebreaker, because after 38 game weeks, which would see Real Madrid win La Liga and Barcelona win the Copa del Rey, it all comes down to one final game. So this is where we stand. Endrick has finished the season as the top goal scorer and won the Golden Boot, but Lamine was voted the player of the season. And both have very similar stats, so basically whoever wins this game is winning the Ballon d'Or. With the stakes being so high for both of them, it's encouraging to see them set the tone early in this match with equally good opportunities. And since we're off to a fast start, let's drop into this game to see if one of them could take an early lead. Real Madrid are moving the ball around. Tchouaméni into Jude. Endrick is open. Endrick can shoot. No! Endrick, you cannot miss that. That is such a bad miss. Luckily for Endrick, there's still plenty of time on the board to make up for that miss, but we'll have to see if it's gonna come back to haunt them later. Vini, looking for support on the counterattack, finds Endrick, lays it off to Valverde. Valverde is in behind, can give Real Madrid the lead. 1-0 Real Madrid. What a finish by Valverde. Great assist by Endrick. And he's just taunted Haaland with his own celebration. Okay. Hasn't been a great half for Barcelona so far, and they might find themselves in a little bit more trouble here. Mbappe passes it to Endrick, plays the 1-2, has options, also has the angle to shoot. 2-0. 30 minutes into the game. If Barca don't wake up here, this could get really ugly. And while there's good reason to celebrate, keep in mind that it's still early and things can change pretty quickly. Lamine has been pretty quiet since he hit the post, and at 2-0 down, If Barca are going to make the comeback, it's going to have to come through either him or Haaland. Gavi is making a run here. Haaland finds him. This is looking very dangerous. Haaland in the box. Cuts the lead to 1. Barca are still in this. I don't know if that was intentional from Gavi, but it doesn't matter. The ball is in the back of the net. That goal would end up being the last meaningful action of the half. And if you're rooting for Endrick, it's looking pretty good. But if you thought the first 45 minutes were exciting, there's plenty more drama on its way. Olmo takes a shot, blocked by Marvin. Pedri, great save by the keeper. I have no idea who this guy is. We're 10 years in. It might be a CPU. It might be a real player. I don't know. Barca are applying some crazy pressure right now, and Real Madrid's defense looks completely lost. Olmo is in, has the shot, doesn't take it. Where is that going? It falls back to him, and we have a tie game. What just happened? And after 90 minutes and a little bit of luck, we're headed to extra time to hopefully find a winner. Barca with possession of the ball to start extra time, and Lamine seems to have slotted into the midfield. Gavi has options in front of him. Still Gavi. Now Haaland. Pedri gives Barca the lead. We might be witnessing a generational collapse from Real Madrid. And with Barcelona now taking the lead in this game, we have to ask ourselves, did Endrick's miss in the first half come back to haunt him? Or with 8 minutes left to play, is there still time for late game heroics? So after 120 minutes of back and forth, we're now headed to penalties. And whether you're rooting for Endrick or Lamine, the fate of this game and the Ballon d'Or is no longer in their control, and now in the hands, or should I say feet, of their teammates. And as you would come to expect, we would be in for a few more surprises. But eventually, a winner must be crowned, and while Jude was able to prolong this game, it would ultimately be for nothing. Barcelona is coming out on top, and with this win, Lamine is taking home his second Ballon d'Or, despite not having the greatest finals performance. But in the end, when the current aging stars of the game retire, Lamine will be leading the new era of football as the face of the beautiful game.